It's the Sod Pod, brought to you by Grassland Agro. The Sod Pod. Hello, and welcome to the Sod Pod. This episode was recorded live just today, the 9th of June, as Grassland Agro were down in Johnstown Castle launching their summer soil health campaign. David Corbett and John O'Loughlin had the pleasure of being joined with David Wall, Research Officer based in Teagasc Johnstown Castle, and Cathal Summers, Agricultural Sustainability Support and Advisory Programme, ASSUP. This is a really interesting conversation and some great little tips of what to look out for in the coming month or two as well. Have a listen.
So we're down in Johnstown Castle, joined by Cathal Summers, ASSUP Advisor, and David Wall, Researcher in Teagasc Johnstown Castle, two Westmeath fans.
Yeah, great football team.
Thanks a million. Grassland Agro are in today to get a research update, trying to align research, advisory and industry, just that we're all saying the same message. And one that's very topical at the moment is whether farmers should spread nitrogen with increasing soil moisture deficits and no real rain on the horizon.
Yeah, look at John, this is a real concern, I suppose, both in terms of fodder and having enough ahead of the animals for grazing, but also we must remember that we have issues with water quality as well, and we don't want to, I suppose, a repeat of maybe what happened in previous years, especially 2018. Soil moisture deficits in this part of the world, down here in the southeast, they're 65 plus. Just very briefly, at 50 soil moisture deficit, that's 50 millimetres of rain to bring you back to full water content. Drought and grass growth will be seriously depressed. We're at 65, so 75 is a full drought. So it's there on the Met Éireann website or on the Farming Forecast on Sunday. You'll be able to see where you are in the country in terms of your soil moisture deficit. So it's a serious one. What we're saying at the moment is, for depending on your soil moisture deficit, but most areas now are heading for 50. Our area is well over 50. So here in the southeast, we're saying hold off. There's no point in spreading nitrogen in particular till you get rain. In other parts of the country, I would say match it to grass growth rates. You know, match your application. So if you're only growing 30, you would have been growing 70 or 80. You know, cut your nitrogen rates appropriately, and you're only topping up. You're not putting out a full split.
So there should be enough nitrogen in the ground, David, to match the bit of growth that will come when the rain comes.
Yeah, we haven't had rain since the first week of May down here. So we haven't had, enough rain. So it's been drying for the last 5-6 weeks. Anything that was put out in the interim, we'll say in the last 3 weeks, the last month even, is still sitting there if it hasn't been used. You know, there's no reason why it's going anywhere. There's nothing to wash it out, etc. So whatever top up is put in there should be enough nitrogen in the system if there was nitrogen put out in the not too distant past.
Well, on the advisory side, are you getting a lot of those questions about what is the best strategy with nitrogen?
Yeah, look, what's really positive this year is the farmers are ringing, the phone is ringing every day. What do we do? We know we're in drought situations. They can see it on the ground. The grass is starting to get burnt already. Particularly, I was on a discussion group Kilkenny last week. Growth rates are up around in the low 70s. Now you can half that this week. Yeah. So the worry is there. The other additional worry is that a lot of silage came in this year with the nitrates very high when it was getting tested as well. So we know because of the early start of the year, there was a lot of rain, couldn't get the fertiliser out, and there was a lot of it spread late. So there has to be a lot of nitrogen there. Any ground that's after being cut as well is yellow. It's not really coming back. Anything that's carrying a bit of grass, it's holding all right because it's stopping the evaporation a little bit. But people are very, very worried. I suppose they're getting cuts in. Some of the cuts are quite light, so they're hoping for a decent second cut. But it depends what's coming in. We're hoping for the rain to come in this weekend, but it's looking like there's not a whole lot going to come. So a lot of people are asking the question: do we hold or do we go?
Yeah, we're definitely experiencing a lot with a lot of farmers work with on the site sustainability program. I probably went last week ahead of anyone based on my own intuition. And we'll discuss it now, but I said maybe that the best fertiliser, the only fertiliser to think about maybe is lime at the moment or potash.
Yeah, no, and I would agree with that, John. You're fast out of the blocks, but there's plenty of liming to be done in the country, especially on heavier soils that couldn't be limed any earlier than this because they were too wet. They're after drying out in the last month, and they're probably still growing sufficiently. They could certainly be hit with lime now, and it'll be working its way in once the rain comes in the back end. The other big one that we don't tend to talk about, or haven't tend to talk about because we haven't experienced as many droughts, is potash. Potash is key for keeping the turgor in the plant and water regulation in the plant. So in swards that are low or soils that are low in potash, you'll find that the grass there is beginning to wilt quicker on the ledge, and growth rates will begin to drop much quicker. So potash is certainly one that we should be putting out to build resilience against even mini droughts or temporary droughts over the year.
My take, I don't know what you think, lads, but people maybe on lighter soils who are consistently running into drought issues, the two things that they should be working on is building organic matter and their potash levels in the soil, trying to reach optimum across every acre.
Yeah, look at the lighter the soils. We're in a part of the country here at the moment here in Wexford. They're light, but all around us is light. You go down into Cork up to County Louth. There's plenty of light soils there across that band of the country. And if you go to the far side of the country, on more of the lighter limestone areas, especially silage fields being cut repeatedly, maybe not enough slurry being drawn back. Organic matter is going to build resilience against a lot of things, but especially drought. You know, per kilo of weight, we'll say, if you take a soil with more organic matter itself holds about 4 times the water that sand, silt and clay holds. So again, that's going to work for you.
The big issue we're seeing on the ground at the moment, just building on what Dave said, is that there's a lot of zero grazing being done over the last couple of years. There's a lot of silage ground away from the platform that's not getting any slurry, not getting any organic matter back on, and we are seeing that start to deplete. And then the third issue that we're seeing, there's been I suppose a big movement to land around lately where a lot of long-term tillage is coming into grass platforms, and they're low in organic matter and they have to be built, but the only way you'll build them is have animals on them or get slurry or organic matter or farmer manure back onto them.
And we talked about it today, and we talked about it in general, to bring carbon as a nutrient as part of our discussions about NP and K. Yeah,
no, for sure.
One of the things that we often hear, lads, is that 1% organic matter is worth the equivalent of an inch of rain or the soil moisture holding capacity. Is that in around accurate? Or?
Yeah, look at as I said, weight for weight, organic matter will hold 4 times its weight in water compared with mineral matter on its own. So if you have a soil that's well built up, has a nice grassland soils in Ireland, on average they're somewhere around 7-8% organic matter. Tillage soils more like 5-6. But then if you go on a light area, a free draining area, or an area like Cathal has said there that's been cut repeatedly, very little drawn back to it in terms of organic matter, they can begin to drop down to 3-4%, and that's when you run into less resilience to drought. And also in terms of feeding the crop, a lot of our nutrients comes from or is stored in the organic matter.
I have a kind of thing in my head, because in the southeast farmers are running into drought more. Maybe it's one for you, Cathal, more consistently, maybe 3 and 5 years or 4 and 5 years nearly on the lighter sides. Is there a case to be made for maybe farmers taking 10-15% of their first cut silage on the 10th of May as bales to give you that buffer, that good quality? I know we should be doing it anyways when we're taking out surpluses, but is there a case possibly to think about that going forward?
It all depends on the trends, and I don't know, personally I'm wondering, are we a little bit too quick to jump on the trend. We're thinking back to 2018. That was the first major drought we had. We had some little mini droughts in between since then. We had a reasonable drought last year, and it looks like one this year. But I suppose we're only 5 to 6 weeks in at the moment. Hopefully the rain will come in the next few weeks. But I suppose we have to think back there. 6 weeks ago, you couldn't drive a tractor in some of the fields around here. It was cutting up. So the weather is so unpredictable. We just have to watch the trends. But look, I suppose the problem is we have a lot of big pits around the countryside. First cut silage is, some people like to get a lot of silage in there, a lot of good quality silage and fill those pits. So it's a kind of a change, I suppose, has to be discussed.
But it is hard to plan for all that as well, Cathal, because like you're talking about droughts, but then you're talking about the springtime as well. Like there's so many scenarios within the year where you're looking for those extra bales or a bit of forage in the yard. So
just think about that as well. So if we're in a drought situation, happened 18, so if all the grass got grazed like did 18 and it happens again, now farmers are starting to buffer feed already, but if that happens and all the grass starts to come up at the one time and the big rain comes and a big bang of nitrogen coming on top of it, or with mineralisation, now we have a lot of grass coming up at the same time, and a lot of bales are going to have to be cut, because our farmers have gone so good at grassland management now that they don't want to feed their animals, graze animals on high, a lot of heavy grass, so they will take bales out throughout the year. And
I don't think we'll have the problem in the environmental issue like we had in 18. There was a lot of fertiliser put out during the drought, and it was the, I suppose the going thing was if in doubt put it out, and it was, but I don't think that's the issue now. Like, so there's not going to be that.
No, farmers are not. They're really aware of that now, because any farmer, particularly the derogation farmers, there's a lot of them there, and we know there's fertiliser cuts. We know that there's stuff on the amount of stocking rates as well that's coming in, and it's all down to water quality. And farmers are very aware now that they have to manage their soils and their land correctly to protect themselves, protect their industry into the future.
And there potentially will be another cut in nitrogen in January coming.
Yeah, look at the indications from both departments. We're in a review year, a nitrates review year, and the indications there, it was set out in the last review, which is only 2 years ago, that there would be another 5% cut. So it looks like that'll come through. I suppose we need to be careful now that we don't leave a whole lot of nitrogen left in the sump, left in the soil come the back end of the year. And, when we apply the last of our nitrogen fertiliser, we need to be sure that we have enough time for the grass to grow, to use it, to utilise it, so it won't be left in the sump, as I say, down in that subsoil for washout when recharge or when drainage and leaching starts to happen.
I think we've learned a lot, lads, from 18.
We did learn a huge amount in 2018. Both farmers, us in research, and the whole industry, about what we should do and how we should do it better and how we should manage the nutrients better. One thing that happens when you get a fairly severe drought, a bit like we're having at the moment, the soil cracks and opens up, and that promotes mineralisation. So that organic matter that's in the soil, it begins to release its nitrogen through mineralisation processes, and that contributes a significant amount of nitrogen for subsequent plant growth. Now, if we start topping up on top of that too much with bagged fertiliser, especially nitrogen, we can run into difficulties that we have so much nitrogen in the ground that we can't use it come the decline in grass growth. And that decline in grass growth, I suppose the Department of Agriculture have set out for us the limit of the 15th September is the last time to spread. However, if we've put on extra splits that weren't utilised because the grass wasn't growing, that carryover is carried over well beyond the 15th September, and potentially then it's a sprint between the grass getting it, and the grass is less good at getting it once it starts to decline, and water washing it out of there, or the rainfall washing it out of it.
So lads, we know the key things to do and not to do. We still have that looming challenge there that we had a wet October, November, we had a fantastic February, stock got out, but then March and April were very poor. There's an awful lot of winter feed has been used up. People buffer feeding the silage they made a week or 2 weeks ago. What's the best strategy? If someone's listening here, what are we going to do? What's the message to try and build those fodder reserves, I suppose?
Yes. So look, just I suppose the big concerns on the farm, and Dave might add to this now a second, is that you've mentioned we've lost some of the early part of the year, but most importantly in the last month and the last couple of weeks now we're losing substantial grass growth, which it's unlikely we're going to get back because we're in the highest point of the grass growth season, into May, into June. So we just have to accept that we're probably not going to recover as much grass as we could in a normal year and have to cope with that. So the potential for that budget demand is going to be under pressure. So hopefully people will have enough stocks, and every chance to get from now between the end of the year have to build on their reserves over the winter.
Yeah, look, in adding to that there, the key would be not to let average farm cover fall too low. 500 I think is the minimum that we'd be saying, so with that, trying to extend the rotation now for the foreseeable, for the next few weeks, will be key. Feeding back some of that bale silage maybe that was made rather than opening a pit, and supplementing. We know concentrate feed is very expensive at the moment, but trying to extend that rotation is going to be important. What I would say is, look, it is early. We're in the first couple of weeks of June. There is plenty of time there. Hopefully, if the rain comes, looking at the long range forecast, if you can go by the long range forecast, it looks like we're not going to get much rain down here in the southeast this weekend. Looking forward on the 10-day forecast, it looks like there may be some rain coming. That could all change, but at this point, there's no real point in putting out a huge amount of nitrogen when water is the limitation. Grass needs sunlight, oxygen, water and nutrients, and if any one of those is not there, it won't grow, and at the moment it's water is the limitation.
Yeah, so we have to be better at our grassland management in the meantime, even if farmers aren't walking. Simple thing, go out and walk the farm, see how many days ahead of you, to extend your rotation, just as simple as dividing the farm up into 25 or 30 and allocating and filling the gap with either bale silage or concentrate is going to get you through. And then, lads, I suppose just a key take-home message from Ichi, and I have one final question after that. So have you any key take-home?
Look, the big thing we've discussed over the last couple of minutes is management decisions. What I would say is take action right now. Don't wait and see if the rain is going to come. Take action now. If you want to push out the rotation, if you want to buffer feed, do it now. Don't wait, or else you'll just exacerbate the problem.
Yeah, look, to concur with that, I would say don't be blindsided by this. It is really important to make a plan. We'll say even if it's a short-term plan, we can't predict the weather, so we don't know what's going to happen. In the long term, it is early enough, and there is time to recover. And it could be that we're making the second cuts 3-4 weeks, a month later than we are, and this could be a year that there's a lot of silage cut in September.
Yeah, and just a final maybe question or comment from Ichi about how Wexford got on this year. I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but I just can't help myself.
Were you down in Wexford Park against Kilkenny there a few weeks ago? Had a right day out.
You're back. The psychological warfare went on as well. I heard there was what's the song he played before the throw-in and all?
There was some of the old legends from Wexford were played just to rile the crowd. I suppose. Look at. We certainly needed the 16th man, and they were there in force.
And you showed up, fair play.
Look at the blip. Fair play to Westmeath, I'll have to say. They showed that they can compete there in the top flight, and given that my wife is from Westmeath, I better not say it.
I was wondering where this is coming from. All right,
but no. Look at. Let's put it down to a blip. And we'll all look towards Clare now for the All Ireland.
Dave's going to be a politician now soon as well.
What we didn't want. I'm just going to get you quickly both to call the two provincial finals for the weekend, because I don't want to get myself in bother. Myself and Dave Coward will try to remain neutral here.
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Jeez, I don't know. Munster has been very interesting this year. You couldn't have predicted what way the thing would turn out, but look at we'll give you the rub of the green. Maybe that's what you don't. You want to be the underdog. You want to be the underdog. But we'll say Clare down that neck of the woods.
David said he'd called Clare since the start of the year. Since day dot, he said.
Yeah, no. Look at I think there's something there.
We're getting into his head.
In terms of the other one, Jesus, hard to know. I'd say Cats will be licking their wounds a little bit, and they'll probably learn a lot from that game. So I would say maybe Henry has something else to say about that.
Yeah.
No, I'd be on the other side. Not sure about the Cats this time. I'd say that famous handshake might turn upside down, but we'll see. We'll see.
And Munster, Cathal.
Yeah, I think there's a few people hiding in the long grass still, so I'll sit on the fence on that one.
Okay, fair enough. Lads, thanks a million for showing all our team around today and all the good stuff that we learned. And thanks for coming on the Sod Pod again.
Sound, lads.
Thanks a million, lads.
A huge thanks to David Wall and Cathal Summers there for giving us their time and their expertise, their vision and their advice. Really greatly appreciated. Thanks also as well to David and John for making that flow so well for us all and keeping the show on the road. Mind yourselves out there. Farm smart, farm safe. Hey, thanks for listening to the Sod Pod. We hope you enjoyed it. To find out more, head over to www.grasslandagro.ie or check out our social channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn and YouTube. That's all for this episode. See you next time.